Welcome back into the Jessica Glow Up podcast. I'm so glad that you're here. Today we have a special episode, our back to school episode. This is going to be great for teachers, great for parents of kids. Also going to have some strategies weaved in there for kids. And also if you're a college student, a lot of this is going to resonate with you as well. Back to school is an exciting time, but it is also a time that is really difficult for a lot of people because it's a big transition. So we are going to get into how to make that adjustment in a way that is going to help you to be in the best, most regulated mindset to be able to move forward and get the most out of your education or your teaching career. Now, who am I and why do I have any right to be talking about that? My name is Jessica. I hold a multiple subjects teaching credential and a master's degree in education. I taught in California, 5th grade for 12 years. I just recently left the classroom and started my own business, Jessica Glow Up, and I now have a podcast as well as a TikTok live room in which we talk about mental health on the regular. I'm allowed to talk about mental health because I'm a person who has been there. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a crisis line. I do not give medical advice. I just speak from personal experience. I speak about what worked for me because I don't want anybody to go through it alone. Before we dive into our discussion today, I do want to remind you that if you or someone you know is struggling with their mental health, you can call, text, or chat with 988 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, anywhere in the United States. I am not ashamed to say for the whole public to hear, I have contacted them on more than one occasion. You deserve to get help. All right, now let's jump into it. Back to school tips and tricks in order to reduce stress and anxiety. Why is back to school such an anxiety provoking thing? Well, it really has to do with the fact that it is new. Maybe you have a new classroom. Maybe you have new students. Maybe you are a student and you are new to the classroom with a new teacher. You're learning new procedures, new routines, new expectations. You might have new colleagues, new classmates. I just want to do a side tangent here and let you know I do not edit my mistakes out of this live or out of this podcast because I want you guys to know that making mistakes is okay. All right, let's get back into it. So there is a lot of newness, and new is not always bad. New is exciting. New is we get to have new experiences, new friendships, new connections. We're going to grow. We're going to learn. New is where the growth and the learning happen. We do not want to stay stuck in the familiar all the time. Familiar is boring. So it's exciting to take a new class or to welcome a new class into your classroom. But the trouble is, it comes with a lot of unknowns. As a teacher, you're needing to get to know 30 new students and their families. You're trying to learn all of their needs and interests and what best suits each one. And you're trying to be perfect from day one, even though that's impossible. As a student, you're walking into a classroom going, what's going to be expected of me? I don't want to get in trouble. What's going to be allowed? What's not going to be allowed? Am I going to be able to keep up with the workload? It's stressful. It's scary because you don't know what's coming at you. So what we're going to talk about is how we build a buffer, how we set ourselves up for success. And this is key. This is about what you do before you enter the classroom. Whether you are a student, a parent, or a teacher, this is going to apply for you. Before the school day starts, let's say it starts at 7 a.m., we need to be thinking about how we're regulating our nervous system come like 6 in the morning. When we get up, what does getting up look like? Are we having a blaring alarm that puts you into fight or flight mode just to get out of bed? Ideally not. You might need an alarm, but maybe something a little bit more peaceful. What are we doing when we get up? Are you immediately grabbing your phone and looking at your email? Because that can trigger you. That can set off your nervous system right away, getting you panicked about all these updates. Now I realize sometimes, like as a parent, we need to check and make sure there's no updates from the school. So I get it, but it doesn't have to be the second that you wake up. So I want you to create a morning ritual that is calming to your nervous system. Can you wake up and take some long, deep breaths? Can you wake up and remember to open up your curtains and look outside and just take a minute to soak in the nature? Even better, can you go onto your patio, to your porch, and go soak in the sunshine and see the world for a few minutes right there in the morning? If you have time, and honestly, I never had time as a teacher, but if you have time, going on a nice nature walk or just walking around the block can be a really good way to get yourself set up for success. So, no startling noises, no scary go on your phone and get triggered right away, getting nature, getting sunlight, deep breaths. And now, what is your morning routine? If you are somebody who's scrambling around, rushing, trying to get stuff done last minute, you're running behind, you didn't pack your lunch, you can't find your keys, you can't find your computer, it's overwhelming. So again, when we are creating this buffer, preparing ourselves for success, it's all about the preparation. What are we doing the night before? Setting out our clothes, packing our lunch ahead of time, finding all of our materials, setting them by the door so that when it is time to go, we are ready. And this is what I do as a parent as well. We know exactly what our kids need, and we have a checklist, and we have built this routine where they know exactly what needs to be done. So there are no surprises, because you don't want to run into the moment where you're like, oh my gosh, I have to wear a white t-shirt today for Spirit Day. I don't have one. And then everybody's panicking, and now your nervous system is all out of whack. So we want to be prepared when we go to bed, one, so our anxious mind can stop swirling and we can actually sleep instead of having insomnia. And two, so that in the morning we can be kind to our nervous system as we get ready. Now, whether or not you eat breakfast is a personal decision. I will tell you, as a person on a GLP-1, I don't eat breakfast. I'm not hungry at breakfast time, but there are a lot of people who will swear by eating a solid protein-based meal at breakfast, because that is going to help keep your blood sugar regulated. And there is a lot of truth to the fact that yo-yoing, with the carbs and sugars and things can lead to crashes where you feel really crummy and shaky and jittery. So it's definitely something to explore, perhaps with your doctor, to come up with a plan, or work with a nutritionist to figure out what works for you specifically in your needs. For me, I just have coffee. And coffee is a double-edged sword too, because coffee is known to increase rates of anxiety, which I have. I have generalized anxiety disorder. But it also is shown to fight depression, because it gives you that motivation to get going. And so really, again, the coffee is going to be a personal choice where you need to experiment and decide what works for you. But having some kind of a calming ritual in the morning is important. So maybe you play calming music in the background, or music that makes you happy, music that's nostalgic, uplifting. Maybe you have a podcast that you like to listen to, not that's really heavy and triggering, but something, low key and light and fun that makes you laugh. Maybe you jump into a TikTok live room that, again, is a place that you just know is going to get you hyped up for your day. That's one of the things I love about going into live rooms in the morning. For me, that is part of my routine, because it gives me predictability. It gives me comfort. It allows me to feel like I'm socializing, and it helps me to feel grounded and not in my anxious brain. What we don't want to do is just start freaking out about everything that is scheduled for the day. Now, I will say screens can be very distracting, especially for children. And so honestly, I would not turn on a screen for a child before they go out to school, because it's going to make that transition, getting them out the door, really, really hard. So I would not do that in that case. But for adults who can make their own decisions, sometimes it can be nice to be able to regulate yourself. It could be eating breakfast. Maybe you even eat breakfast outside. There are small changes that you can do to your morning routine to make it more pleasant. Also, just think about how much time are you setting aside for yourself. You don't want to feel rushed, because when we're rushing, when we're going fast, it starts to make our bodies feel like we're in that flight mode with anxiety. We're panicked because we're overwhelmed. We want to be kind to ourselves by making our morning run smoothly. And that means that you don't need to accept a bunch of new tasks during the morning. If people are sending you a bunch of text messages in the morning, give yourself permission to say, you know what? I don't have to reply right now. I can even put it on Do Not Disturb. Unless it's something urgent, for your work where you need to get to it right then. Can we wait? Can we deal with it later? I used to have a rule that I did not look at my work email until I was at work. I stopped looking at it at home because it would ruin my entire morning. Then I would spend all morning worrying about it when I couldn't deal with it until I got to work anyways. And so that is what I would do. Schedule out your time, kind of plan backwards, figure out how much time you need, add in a buffer for any unexpected occurrences. And I realize probably right now you're sitting here going, you're telling us to get up early so we can do all these things, but I'm always tired because I can't sleep and I'm up late at night. I get it. I get it. I am up late at night way too often as well. I used to struggle with insomnia a lot. I do not provide medical advice, but I will tell you that my doctor did prescribe me medication for my depression and anxiety that also causes me to sleep at night. And it is one of the best things that ever happened to me. So again, reach out to a doctor, reach out to a psychiatrist if you think that's something you might benefit from, because they would be the people that could make a decision like that. But your sleep is important. It is foundational to your mental health. And I understand that getting up early is hard. So we need to make sure we are solving that sleep equation as well. And I realize it is definitely easier said than done. So once you have had a peaceful morning, and that is key, you need to protect your peace so that it is a peaceful morning. You are getting out the door. What are you doing in the car or on your bike ride or on your walk getting to school? First off, you don't want to be running late, because if you're running late, now again, you're panicking. So we want to make sure we have that time. But then what are we doing? Because I used to listen to really stressful podcasts about the news and stuff as I was driving to work. And then I eventually realized I'm arriving at work like this, like totally shaky, like it's too much. It's too much. So what we fill our thoughts with as we attend school matters. Are we listening to something calming, something happy? Are we not listening to anything at all and just noticing the nature around us? Really being mindful of that transition. Are we using positive affirmations? Are we perhaps listening to some uplifting quotes, some encouraging statements? Are we hyping ourselves up, encouraging us, telling ourselves what could go right about our day instead of catastrophizing about what could go wrong? Now, when you get into your classroom, be you a student, a parent, a teacher, if you're a parent, I want you to know that your job really ends there. Please let their teacher do their job of helping your child adjust to the classroom, and know that everything that you've done at home has helped to prepare them to have the best possible experience. But please do not stay holding their hand for a long time trying to make them feel supported, because that's just going to make it worse. Okay, so tell them you love them, give them a hug, whatever you want to do, but then know that the teacher's got it. We got it. We can handle it. So now that the day is starting, first off, I hate feeling like I'm behind. So as a teacher, I am making sure I am getting them before I am expected to be there and before the students arrive. So I have time to get everything in order, because there is nothing like panicking because you can't get your computer to work or you can't get the document camera to work. And so knowing you have pulled up all the things you need for all of your lessons that day, you have found all of your materials, is great. Now, if it is hard for you to get there early in the morning, the strategy that I actually eventually ended up switching to for exactly that reason is I started making sure that when I left my classroom the afternoon before, I made sure that I had everything set out, all of the materials for all of the lessons, and I had the schedule written on the board. Now, were there a few exceptions, like days I had to rush off to a doctor's appointment that I didn't do that? Absolutely. But in general, I would always make sure my materials were prepared, because one, I could sleep. Two, I didn't feel like I had to rush to work. And three, in the event that I got sick and needed a substitute, the materials were already out there. The schedule was already on the board. So it was a win-win. So getting everything set up. And I want you to notice, I didn't say check your email. Of course, you need to follow whatever requirements exist for your employment. And perhaps you have a rule that you have to check your email first thing in the morning. But if you don't, I want you to be mindful that email frequently is a trigger for a lot of us. Email can contain a lot of tasks that we need to get done and things that may take a lot of work to get done. It can contain people who are angry or upset with us for how we're doing our job, whether or not we deserve for them to be upset with us. And so it can very, very easily trigger a fight or flight response. So I want you to be mindful, not about not opening your email, because that's not reasonable, but I want you to pick times to do it. When can you do it? Where you know, even if it triggers you, you are going to have the time that you need in order to be able to re-regulate your nervous system. Because one of the worst things you can do is be in the middle of a math lesson and then read an email just kind of on your other monitor, and it totally triggers you. And now you have to teach math while also in fight or flight. That's no fun, and it's no good for the students either. So being mindful of when you choose to get that information in a time when, if it is getting you feeling more escalated, more dysregulated, you are able to stop and you are able to practice your coping skills. So that is what we're going to talk about next. In those moments, because it happens as a teacher or as a student, there are going to be times that you get stressed out, that you get anxious, you get overwhelmed. And we need to, instead of just being afraid of that happening, we need to say, okay, I am in control. I have the tools, I have the strategies of what I need in order to be able to fight against this and get back into a calmer and cooler headspace. Now, these strategies that I'm going to share are great for teachers. They're great for students. And if you are a parent, you can teach your students these strategies while they're at home, and then they can bring them into the classroom. Of course, check with your child's teacher about what's allowed and what's not. One of my all-time favorite coping skills is an ice pack. You just take that ice pack, put it on your forehead or on your wrist or on your neck, and the cool sensation is going to help you to do a reset for your nervous system. If it's hard for you, like if you don't have a mini fridge available, using those ones that you break once and then they become cold can be a great option. Similarly, drinking cool water through a straw is a great way to reset your nervous system because it helps you slow your breathing down, and the cool sensation also can be very calming. So filling up your child's water bottle or your own water bottle with some ice water in the beginning of the day can be a great way to set them up for success. Now, another thing that's really helpful that may or may not be allowed in your child's classroom is sour candy. Sour candy, what it does is it gives a jolt to us where we go, oh my gosh, that's so sour. And then we go, okay, wait, what was I worrying about again? Because we get so focused on how sour it was that it jolts us out of our fight or flight mode. So I am talking about really sour things like Warheads or retro sours, the things that have that sour powder on the outside. You can actually buy sour powder that you can put on fruit if you want a little bit of a healthier version. But something like, or eat a lemon. I don't know. That's probably bad for your teeth. You figure out what works for you. But something sour or something incredibly spicy, like think hot Cheetos. And I realize hot Cheetos are not very healthy for you. You can put cayenne pepper on just about anything though. Put it on cauliflower, put it on carrots, or salsa, right? A hot salsa. Something that again is going to startle you so that you get out of your anxious thought loop. Again, that might not be available in the classroom, so it's important to ask what options you have. Maybe it's a calming beverage. Maybe it's a calming tea or a coffee or a sparkling water. I will tell you, my day always felt better when I had a special drink sitting there. That is something that really uplifted me and made me happy. So coping skills, we had ice pack, we had drinking cool water through a straw, we had sour, we had spicy. Other things that you can do. Do not underestimate the power of deep breathing. So that's something like square breathing. Breathing in, hold, breathe out, hold. And you need to do it many, many times. This is something that teachers can leave their students in. It is something that parents can practice with their kids at home. It is something that is so, so helpful in resetting your nervous system. You need to do it for at least a minute. Don't just do it once and think that it worked. Another great thing if you're feeling a lot of stress and tension is the coping skill called progressive muscle relaxation. It's where you squeeze your muscles super, super, super tight, and then you relax and shake it out. A lot of us hold a whole lot of anxiety and tension in our body. Maybe you clench your jaw. Maybe you feel tenseness in your shoulders. And by doing this progressive muscle relaxation where we squeeze, and then we let go, it is going to help us to shake out the nervous energy from our body. Similarly, movement can be very helpful in getting anxiety unstuck. So if it works for you, see if you can build in some form of movement into your day. This is one of the reasons why I loved as a teacher doing PE with my class first thing, because I got exercise walking with them and they got exercise, which helps everybody to let out. It's a good transition. It lets out whatever anxious energy might might have been coming from home, we're able to get it out, move our bodies, and then we are more fresh and ready to continue with the rest of our day. If you're not able to do PE in the morning, maybe you lead your class through a quick like brain break type of exercise, something like From Go Noodle. Maybe I can get sponsored by them one day, who knows? In order to help everybody get regulated. I did something in my classroom that I'm sure some people would not agree with, but I always spent the first like 3 transition minutes. School started at 8:30. So from 8:27 to 8:30, I played animal videos for my class. Now I understand you might be like, that's not educational. You know what? School didn't start yet. School started at 8:30. And I believe that teaching people how to regulate their nervous system is essential. So I believe it is a good thing to do as a teacher to play something that really is just for the pure enjoyment of the cuteness of the animals. There's no test on it. There's no assignments. This is just, again, regulating our nervous system. Looking at calming imagery can be a great way to do that. So that can look like playing a nature landscape or animal video in a classroom. Or if that's not an option for you, maybe bringing a book with cute animal photos that you can look at, a magazine, some printed out photos of your family, of your pets, whatever it is that makes you smile. Being able to expose you to things that makes you smile is a great way to start your day. Similarly, if you're somebody who likes to laugh, maybe you get a joke book and you tell a few jokes in class at the start of the day, or have kids read the jokes to you. That is a great way to lighten the mood and to let go of some tension. You can also do kind of distracting exercises, like doing like a seek and find, like a Where's Waldo kind of a book. But we basically just need a way to be able to ease into the school day. It's one of the reasons why I always opened my door at 8:10, even though school started at 8:30, because I wanted to make sure that students had time to be able to get regulated and settle in before I was like, okay, now we're doing math. They do need that adjustment period rather than it just like brutally being like, okay, now let's go. That's my philosophy anyways. So other coping skills that can be helpful, that can be weaved into the school day. Journaling is a very, very helpful skill that is going to help you to get those anxious or angry or stressed out thoughts out of your brain onto paper so you get freedom within your mind. This is something that you can include in a classroom setting very easily, especially at high stress moments. For example, after recess, there tends to be a lot of recess drama and people need to talk about stuff. So that would be a great time to offer a journaling time in which people can write about whatever they're thinking about. Now, you can determine if you want the teacher to read those journals or for them to be private, but it is a great way to get it out. Because when it's out, it stops swirling in our head. If we don't have a way to get it out, it just stays swirling. Now, if you are thinking of doing this as a teacher, you can journal as well. You can model it for your kids, although of course you're going to be mindful of what it is you're journaling about when you're sharing it with your class. But also there are other practices that you can do if there's something you really just need to let go of. Write it on a piece of paper and rip it up. Write it on a piece of paper and then pour water on it. Write it on what is the other one that I do? Write it on a paper and then like scribble all over it, right? There's lots of different like practices that you can do to make yourself feel, write it on a piece of paper and throw it away, to make yourself feel like you're letting go of that thing. Now, if somebody is really not into writing, it really can just be a journal time in general. It can be artwork, it can be drawing, comic strips, anything that is going to let them express themselves in a way that they are able to let go of it so that they are better able to focus on whatever task is at hand. Those would be the main anxiety coping skills that I would recommend for both teachers and for students. Now, what I would say though is some people's anxiety is beyond coping skills being enough to get them regulated. And I am one of those people. I have generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder as well, which means I have panic attacks. And honestly, for me, I needed to be prescribed anxiety medication in order to deal with it. And I needed to go to a whole lot of therapy. So I don't want you to think like you're just going to try one of these tricks and magically everything is going to be gone. I highly encourage you to talk to a doctor, a therapist, a psychiatrist, some mental health professional to be able to guide you and to be able to assess what level of anxiety you have, because the things that I described are great if your anxiety is mild and perhaps even moderate. But if you are experiencing severe anxiety, you're probably going to need some help from some experts. And perhaps even with moderate anxiety, you could benefit with some help from an expert. So make sure that you're reaching out to those people. That is a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness. Now, I do want to dive a little bit more into specifically my advice for teachers. You are not going to be able to please everyone. Even if you are a perfectionist, even if you are a go-getter, even if you are somebody who is a workaholic and works 70 hours a week, you are not going to be able to make everyone happy. It's impossible. 30 kids plus 60 parents, that's 90 right there. Plus all of your colleagues, we're easily over 100 people. Not everyone has the same expectations. Not everyone has the same feelings about things, the same values, the same morals. It is absolutely impossible to make everyone happy. So when you set this expectation, I'm going to make all my students like me, and I'm going to make all the students' parents like me, and all my colleagues are going to be impressed by me, and I'm going to impress my boss. You are setting yourself up for failure. I want you to go into it with the expectation that you are going to try hard. You are going to do your best work most days. You are going to give yourself grace. Sometimes you're going to make mistakes, and most people will like you, but occasionally there will be people who, for whatever is going on in their own life, have their own things, and for whatever reason, they are not going to like you. And I want you to know that that is okay. You are going to let them. Let them doesn't mean that you are giving them permission to treat you that way. It just means that you're accepting you can't control other people's behavior. And that is going to give you a lot more freedom, because if you go into it expecting, yes, 5% of the time I am going to get an angry email. There is going to be a parent who comes and talks to me and is upset about something. If you set that expectation that it will happen and that a successful person experiences that level of criticism, then you will not see it as a reflection of your own self-worth or your value when that happens. And that is really, really important, because many of us suffer with our sense of our self-esteem or our sense of self-worth, or we feel like we're not good enough because somebody else goes and tells us that we're not good enough. Remember, someone else's opinion of you does not get to have the power of deciding your worth. Now, the other thing about teaching is there are certain moments within the day that tend to be the moments where a lot of chaos and a lot of things are happening all at once, and things come flying at us, and 6 different people need help, and we can't help all of them at the same time, and the phone is ringing and your email is going off. It's a lot. I want you to give yourself permission to not get back to everyone right away, to ask for patience, to ask people to wait, to tell people, set an expectation ahead of time. Say, hey, I will get back to your email within 24 hours. Do not expect an immediate response. If you need an immediate response, call the office, right? Do not train people to expect an immediate response from you. So if people are emailing you in the middle of the day, don't respond to them right away, unless it really helps you or it's really necessary, because then you are teaching them to expect, oh, when I email Jessica, she always answers right away. Then they come to expect it. Teach them to wait. They email you in the morning, email them back in the afternoon. A lot of people have a schedule send function, so they can still get through typing it if you have time right then and you want to type it, but schedule that it comes to them later, because they do not need to expect that they are going to get a response from you right away. And this is especially true at nighttime, on weekends. You deserve to have work hours, and you deserve to be able to unplug. No parent should expect that the teacher is going to respond at 10 p.m. at night. I think it's okay as a parent to send an email at 10 p.m. at night, because honestly, that's frequently the time that we have available to sit down and send a message. But don't expect a response until the next day. Give the teacher some time. Give them some grace. And if you know as a teacher that you're going into kind of a stressful zone, buffer, like we talked about earlier, buffer. I always knew right after lunch was going to be a stressful time. A lot of kids were going to have different, social things come up. So I made sure I took some deep breaths before I walked out to my line to pick up my students. I always took a sip of water. I always grabbed a fidget so I could hold a fidget in my hand. Fidget was something that we didn't talk about earlier that I should have. Fidgets are great. Some of them are very noisy and distracting to teachers. So please ask teachers what their rule is about fidgets, and try to pick fidgets that are not super loud because they're so irritating. If you can find a quiet fidget like a squishy, That is ideal. Something that you can just move around in your hands repetitively that is not going to be a distracting toy, because there are a lot of teachers who will not allow them if they feel that they're actually distracting the student rather than letting the student focus. And a lot of teachers don't allow slime because it gets stuck in the carpet. So again, you always got to ask. Teachers can establish things called calming corners in their classrooms, which are basically areas that have coping mechanisms built into them. So I had a calming corner that had some pillows, it had some seek and find books, some animal books, it had fidgets, it had little bubble timers, different things to help somebody to calm and to regulate, art supplies as well. If you are a parent, one of the best things you can do for your teacher is to ask, can I donate fidgets? Can I donate some, calming books? Can I donate a Zen garden? Can I donate some comfy pillows, some bean bags? See if they need something like that if you're able to afford it, because then your child will benefit from there being a coping station, but also all the other students are going to benefit as well. That helps everyone because they're going to have a much better experience in their classroom if people are not feeling dysregulated all the time. A bunch of dysregulation can lead to behavior problems, can lead to hurt feelings, name calling. So if we are able to really channel taking care of our mental health as a priority and value it, it is going to make for a better school year for all involved. Now, adults, you can do the same for you. You can create this at home, a calming station at home or a calming station at your work. Put photos of things that make you smile. Maybe fill up your mini fridge with a bunch of your favorite sparkling water. Get a bucket of fidgets to have just for yourself that are yours, not your students. You're allowed to do things that cushion your day and make it better. And I think my last advice for a teacher is figure out what your nervous system needs. Are you somebody who feels rejuvenated by spending time talking to other coworkers? Does that help you to get out of your anxious mind? Does that help you to de-stress? Is venting important to you? Or are you the kind of person who, when you go into a lunchroom and you listen to everyone else's problems, now on top of your own problems, you're now thinking about all of their problems, and now you're stressed out of your mind and you haven't gotten to relax at all? Because you need to decide how you are going to maximize whatever breaks you have, your lunch break and any other break you might have throughout the day. How are you going to use that time to make sure that your nervous system remains regulated? If talking to friends does that, absolutely do that. If you need the quiet time to yourself, know that that is okay. If you know that exercise is really good for you, see if you can take a walk during that time. You can exercise. You can turn on a yoga video and do yoga in your classroom. We need to think creatively about how maybe we need to break some routines. Maybe the way we've been doing it in the past isn't working. Maybe we need to adjust in order to find something that does work for us. Now, I want to let you know, being a teacher is an endless job. As a parent, I'm sure many parents can relate to this. Frequently, the to-do list is so long that we never get to everything. There is always more work to be done. And if you keep yourself working incredibly long hours trying to get everything done, you're going to burn yourself out, exhaust yourself. You're going to end up sick or having a mental health crisis, and you're going to miss a bunch of work. So I want you to give yourself the grace and permission to say, that doesn't need to go on my to-do list today. That could be a tomorrow problem. That could be a next week problem. You do not need to take care of every single thing that falls onto your plate the minute that it gets there. Give yourself the permission to move your to-do list tasks to days where you have space. That is why in my planner, I always use sticky notes so that if something didn't get done one day, I picked up the sticky note, I put it on a different day. I didn't have to rewrite it. I knew that these were flexible items. Of course, there's going to be some things that have to be done today. Like when I had to file a CPS report, I had to stay late so I could do that, Child Protective Services. That was something that was crucial that had to be done that moment. Most things that we do as teachers are not CPS reports. Most of those things can wait. And so give yourself that grace. Allow yourself to have work-life balance. Allow yourself to leave work at work and allow yourself to enjoy hobbies and friendships and family at home. Allow yourself to do things other than think about work all the time. And this goes for students too. Students, you cannot let your studying and your homework consume your entire life. I didn't give homework anymore as a teacher after COVID because I decided, you know what? We do enough work at school. They work really hard, 6, 7 hours a day in class. They deserve time to be a kid. They deserve time to decompress. They deserve to have time to play. A lot of kids are on sports teams and gymnastics lessons. And, a lot of parents disagreed with me about that and thought that I should give homework. But I think it's important that your kid still gets time to be a kid and that your kid finds other things besides school so that they have other passions, other interests, and it doesn't feel like every bit of their future is banking on whether they do well at school or not. It is a big part and you want to do well, but you also deserve to have other hobbies, other friendships, other things outside of that as well. Work balance is hard, and I will tell you that for teachers, August and September and maybe even October are usually the most stressful months because there is so much to do as you're adjusting to a new thing. And you know what? For parents and students, it's the same. You are trying to go to back to school night. You're trying to learn what the new rules are, the new homework structure. Perhaps you're trying to learn about a new textbook, a new curriculum, a new website. It's a lot. And I want you to give yourself a lot of grace. I want you to not overschedule yourself during that time because it can be overwhelming. Trying to get to all the lessons on top of all the other events, on top of class. And honestly, most of us at the end of a school day, the first couple of weeks of school, we're exhausted and we just want to go lay on the couch and watch TV. So give yourself that grace. We can't do that all the time, but the first couple of weeks, be gentle with yourself. If you can pack all your lunches for the whole week, like on a Sunday, do it. Do anything you can do to make your life easier, because it is rough. So that is what I'm going to leave you with. Grace, compassion, work-life balance, being intentional about creating a buffer, being mindful of your coping skills, and knowing it's okay to do a coping skill in the middle of a math lesson. You can take a brain break and have the whole class do a breathing exercise with you. It's okay. You are allowed to make social emotional learning, which is mental health type stuff like coping skills, a priority in your classroom, even if your school district doesn't prioritize it, because I will tell you, students who are emotionally regulated learn better. One, because they're not distracting others, and two, because they're actually able to focus. So it is a win-win. It takes time, but it creates better learning outcomes. I do not have a scholarly article to cite for that for you, but I will tell you when I am in my anxious brain, I am not my best learner. So from personal experience, I can definitely tell you that. So give yourself permission to take those moments to get re-regulated, because the last thing you want to do is let that anxiety go up and up and up and just keep spiraling. We need to notice it when it's just started, bring it back down, do a reset, and then we keep going. I know you can do this. Starts of years are exciting. I hope you take time to have fun, to laugh, to smile, to take photos, to enjoy yourself, because it's a really exciting time. Don't let yourself get dragged down all by the stress of anxiety of it all. I do want to let you know, if this conversation triggered you in any way and you are needing crisis level support, you can call or text 988 for mental health support. If you are just somebody who's thinking, yeah, I might benefit from therapy, but I don't really feel like I'm in a crisis, I highly recommend going to Psychology Today. It is a website where you can look up where you can find a therapist in your area. You can filter by who takes your insurance. You can also filter by their specialties and whether they are virtual or in person. I understand that there are financial barriers to therapy and not everyone can afford it, and I'm so sorry. It's so difficult. But I do encourage everyone to get the help that they need. Reach out to a doctor, therapist, psychiatrist, or 988 if you need help. And if you are experiencing a mental health emergency, remember that you can go to your nearest emergency room. My conversation about emergency rooms will be a conversation for another time, because that is a mouthful right there. I want to thank you guys for listening, and I invite you guys, please go leave a review for the podcast. This is a brand new podcast, and I have serious dreams about this. So if you're able to leave me a review, I greatly appreciate it. If you can go connect with me on all of my different platforms, my handle is the same, at Jessica Glow Up Live Host. You can find me on Instagram, on YouTube, and on TikTok. I go live on TikTok twice a day, 9:30 a.m. Monday through Friday, and 9 p.m. every night except Friday. And those are all Pacific Standard Time. I'm from California. I would love to see you in my live room. That's a great chance to do back and forth Q&A about some of the things that we talked about today. Be Be gentle with yourself. You are loved. You are worthy. You are important. You matter. Stay glowing, my friends. Until next time. Bye, everyone.